So is the ultimate goal of humanity to sort of, enlighten and awaken to this, the oneness, and to, our true nature, and dissolve these sort of dark negative forces? Is that the ultimate path?
It is one of the, you could say, chapters of the current Earth, humans on Earth desire to experience. You could think of it like a movie or a play. It isn't the ultimate goal, for everything is always changing with a few exceptions. And so once you have come to a point of completion with this, where you feel, yes, we've got back to where we want to be, there will be all those in your world who choose to move on to another idea, for another exploration, for another movie, another play, another chapter, if you will, in a sense.
Does it seem like, right now, specifically, it seems like we are really waking up to some of these dark forces that have been at play for a long time.
Yes.
It seems like people are really, there's a lot of light being shed on it. Would you say that we are moving into that direction fast? Like, are some of these dark forces really being shed, and are we moving in a good place over the next few years, or what does this landscape look like in the next, let's say, 5 to 10 years?
There is continued growth from both those in your world, getting more awareness of your actual nature, in a sense, and those who are perhaps some of those doing some keeping the lights turned off. They are also having some escalation and some growth as well, in a sense. So, as you all change into more of the light awareness, instead of those who are trying to keep the lights off, they change in how perhaps they are finding new ways to turn lights off, so to speak. They are also expanding too, and perhaps not aware of that. And there can become a time where they, in a sense, flip fully, and they just let go of the idea of exploring the dark, in a sense. And they integrate more whole into the light and dark integrated, in a sense. So that is a very likely possibility, but the timeline for that isn't something I will bring forth, because again, it is so flexible, so many factors involved in fluctuating, so many variable futures available that Earth and those on Earth can potentially settle into, so to speak, to choose which direction, which path, which flight to take, which train station, which direction to go, in a sense.
Can you share where some of these civilizations are from, those who are trying to keep us in the dark?
Well, primarily they're moving through the Orion system and some of those places. That is some of the, you could say, the deepest and darkest that are infiltrating, if you want to call it that. But again, it is the idea, before you were incarnated here, you were aware that this type of interaction was taking place. Once you're born and you start to grow up from a baby to an infant and a toddler, you may have lost complete awareness that any of these things actually are part of, you could say, the taking place on a deeper causal, co-creationary level. So it is something that it is all of you are in a potential, all of you interacting here on Earth are, in a sense, melding and co-creating and blending. Quite a fascinating new experience. And so it is in the next few years how that unfolds. Again, it isn't something that I will place predictions into how that may or may not. But the potential is for it to be very bright. And for those who like to create some of the turning lights off, they may still feel like they have a great deal of very dark, in a sense, that they could be excited about. So it could be that is going in both directions, favorably from both, you could say, sides. They both feel things are going well. But there can come a time where all of these seemingly mental awareness barriers suddenly dissolve, as though you all step out from behind the curtain, so to speak, and you are all suddenly more whole, and you see each other for who you are and what's been going on, as if you've been playing characters on stage and you suddenly just cast aside all of those roles and all of that makeup, all of the sets in the background, and you embrace each other and you relax and you enjoy and you feel fulfilled, and you are in that space together for a while. And then gradually there will be each of you in your own individual way. You might form groups and community and go off then and have new experiences, perhaps here back on Earth or in other locations within the Milky Way galaxy or other galaxies, other ways of expressing and experiencing life in a sense. You move on in that way.
Are you saying that there could be a pivotal, just an instantaneous
Yes.
moment where that happens?
It
We just
can.
all shift at once.
It's very possible. Yes, these are realities and potential timelines, versions of Earth humans on Earth that do exist in a sense.
Could that be like in a cataclysmic moment, for example, like some sort of a...
Not in one sense cataclysmic in terms of how you've been structuring your thought processes and how you experience life here on Earth. So in that sense, it would be cataclysmic to that structure. But it is, in a sense, also something that how you experience it would not be in that way causing physical difficulties particularly. Right. Not the idea that you would suddenly have a stroke or a heart attack, not that kind of thing. You wouldn't be running around in fear or frightened, or you would be in a very deep, whole, comforted, enjoyable, joyful state of being. Tears in your eyes from joy, more in that idea.
And that could that happen sometime soon?
Well, no timeline. Yes,
right.
Again,
right.
Soon is relative.
In my lifetime?
Potentially.